Well, Vice President Kamala Harris has been laying low since her loss in the presidential race. The vice president spending time in Hawaii before heading back to Washington.
But there's some rumors underway about what might be her next move. According to Politico, privately, the vice president has been instructing advisors and allies to keep her options open. That could be a possible 2028 presidential run, or even a run for governor in her home state of California in 2 years. Harris has reportedly repeating in phone calls, quote, "I'm staying in the fight." Let's talk about it now with our political panelists. Theryn Bond joins us now, a Democratic strategist, and Luke Ball is a Republican strategist. So two different perspectives here. Welcome to you both. Theryn, we'll start with you. Is this a good idea for VP Harris to continue her political ambitions?
Not to run for president again in 2028. Please don't. I can't really speak for governor of California. Californians seem to support her significantly. We haven't yet been able to measure what that support looks like after this current run she just had. That may be the only thing that I guess, may make sense for her to consider. But another shot at the presidency, I hope she doesn't. And if she is relying on those same advisors that advised her this cycle, that's not who I would listen to.
Luke, I mean, she lost in a landslide to Trump in this election. If she runs for governor of California, can she win that race?
Well, I think she might have a hand up in California because I think that's one of the only states where she might actually have an edge. She'd have high name ID. But if she ran anywhere else in the country, I don't think she'd be able to get elected to dog catcher, unfortunately, because if I'm a donor, if I'm a Democrat, I'm looking at this race and I'm looking at the aftermath as we start to go through the autopsy of the campaign. And I'm seeing that we're paying millions of dollars to celebrities to astroturf the campaign instead of spending that money on critical resources, even like the DNC. If I'm on that side of the political aisle, I'm wondering why can't we give that to staff members as opposed to sending it to celebrities, paying $5,000 for having their nails done. Like the RNC went through this just over a year ago and we cleaned house ahead of the election. And I think that if I'm a Democrat strategist and I'm operating within the DNC, I'm having the same thought process. We have to have a come to Jesus meeting and figure out, number one, who the heck is the leader of our party? Number two, what sort of drastic changes are we going to make to position ourselves to come up in this next upcoming midterm election and start to change the direction of the country from our perspective? So I don't think Kamala Harris is going to have a shot at a national campaign anymore. Maybe she'd be able to find a home in California, but I think her national political spotlight is fading.
Well, speaking of those DNC staffers, apparently they're not so happy because now they no longer have a job. Some facing layoffs, no severance pay, and there's a GoFundMe that has been set up. It reads in part, last week, 2/3 of the DNC staff was laid off with little notice and no severance. We're heartbroken to see our colleagues who dedicated countless hours to electing Democrats up and down the ballot depart under these circumstances, furious with DNC leadership for failing to provide severance to those affected. As of now, of their $25,000 goal, they've raised $16,000. Theryn, will you be donating to this campaign? I mean, should we be feeling sorry for these staffers whose candidate lost an election and are no longer getting paid?
You know, there's pros and cons to that because we don't have a clear picture of exactly what they knew going into it. We don't know what they were promised or what terms they agreed to. So if there were terms that they agreed to that have not been met, then yes, it makes sense to donate to that. But if that was not the case, and if they were some of those people that were advising and making decisions that led to this significant loss, then we have to reevaluate the entire DNC structure and what affinity those staffers have to the people versus the party itself. And when those people will be bold enough to say, you know what, something's not going right, and be heard. But as we hear more and more stories leaking out about what being a staffer was like, there were a lot of maybe lower level staffers that weren't listened to when they tried to stop this disaster of a train that was going. And so it's sad to see anybody that needs a GoFundMe, but we'd have to really know what those terms were that they agreed to, and if they were in fact met and they're just unhappy, or if they weren't met and they're being hanging left to dry.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.